What is going on, guys? Ultimate Deadpool here, back with another video. Finally, I've had this video planned for 2 weeks. I just waited to get some other stuff from, for this video. So, we've got a ton of new stuff to talk about today. Almost all of which will be for the connected universe. I'll explain more of that stuff in tomorrow's video, but just bear with me. So we're gonna go with the least exciting stuff first, and then go on to the fun stuff. So all of these things were purchased at my local, I guess you could say, toy store, Dallas Vintage Toys. They have a really big selection of everything, just about from all sorts of eras, whether it be the 80s, 90s, 70s, freaking early 2000s. There were a lot of stuff in there that I recognized having as a kid, and I wanted to come home with everything, but I limited myself to what is currently in front of you guys right now. So we're going to go ahead and let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so first up we have the Turtles in Time NECA 2000, I guess Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 Raphael and Donatello. Now, the only reason I got these guys was to complete the set of 4, because I already had Leonardo and Michelangelo for a while, and Raphael and Donatello were the only two I was missing from that set of 4. Donatello and Raphael do come with the Time Scepter that was used in Turtles in Time, or Turtles 3, however you want to call it. I always refer to it as the worst one. But anyway, so yay, I have all 4 of them. Donatello and Raphael's outfits or whatever match Leo and Mikey's. The only difference is their bandanas and their weapons. That's pretty much it. Everything else is the exact same on these guys. So nothing new, nothing extravagant. So now that these guys are out of the way, yay, my collection of 4 of these guys is complete. Okay, sticking with Ninja Turtles themed for now, we've got the quarter scale Donatello. Now, he's actually what completed the pizza. I'll do a whole separate video on these guys at some point in the future. But I got Donatello because I have everybody else. I've got Michelangelo. I've got Raphael. Raphael was actually my first quarter scale turtle. And then, of course, I got Leonardo, who doesn't fit in frame right now. But we'll put him off to the side right there. That's close enough. So anyway, now I have all 4 quarter scale Ninja Turtles. There we go. Whoa, that's trippy. Okay, so anyway, Donatello was the last one for these guys, so yay, now I actually have something to put on the shelf right above my, I guess you could say, camera space. He shares the same body as all 4 of these guys, has the same articulation. The only difference is his head is different. And even then, that's still reused from everybody else except for his mouth. He does have the interchangeable beaks. He's belt buckle says D instead of M, R, or L. And he has a bow staff. That's pretty much it. Let's move on. Before we do move on, though, I will do a separate video on these guys, talking about, how cool it is to actually start with one and then get all the other ones afterwards, and kind of sort of be rewarded afterwards. It's weird to explain, but I'll explain it better in another video. Okay, so some of you guys might not know this. Sam Raimi is by far my favorite person to direct any Spider-Man movie. I grew up watching all 3 Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, and to this day, I don't think another person has played Spider-Man better than Tobey Maguire, in my personal opinion, which is why when Spider-Man joins the connected universe, he's going to feel very Sam Raimi-esque, but he's going to have a little bit of Andrew and Tom thrown in there as well. So I was wanting originally the original plan for the connected universe has changed, because the original idea was to have Doctor Octopus be the main villain of the first Spider-Man film. I didn't do that, and then that has now been changed to a handful of other like lower tier Spider-Man villains. So that way it basically because the first Spider-Man movie in the connected universe is basically going to be him testing his powers and seeing if he's worthy enough to be a hero for his own, backstory and everything else that's going to be explained in that movie, whatever video you want to call it. But originally, Dr. Octopus was supposed to be the main villain. And I didn't want to do that because I wanted to build him up. I wanted to build up Dr. Octopus. And there's one humongous problem with doing that with this version of Dr. Octopus. I love this Dr. Octopus altogether. It's inspired by Alfred Molina, who played Dr. Octopus in both Spider-Man No Way Home and Spider-Man 2, two really good Spider-Man sequels. And he's probably one of the best parts of both of those films, especially Spider-Man 2. But I'm sorry, this does not do Alfred Molina justice. From certain spots, I can see Alfred Molina, but his expression just looks so sad and almost, upset look. And his glasses were broken beforehand, but when you remove his glasses, he actually looks more like Alfred Molina than with his glasses on, because his glasses are so tight together. If they had made the frames out about where his ears are, then it would look so much better than that. And unfortunately, you cannot remove these arms. I was hoping you'd be able to do that, because when Dr. Octopus is eventually shown in the connected universe, I want him to look like this, and I can't do that if his arms are not removable, and they are not. At least to my knowledge, they are not. The wires in his arms are a bitch to work with. He can stand up and support his own weight on the arms. I have done that before. But then he falls over almost immediately afterwards. So for now, this is his way of just simply standing. His hands, that are his claws, they only come with these two and these two. That's it. You don't get any ones that you can have like this for all four of them. You don't get anything that's like this for all four of them. No, it's two for the bottom, two for the top. That's it. And he does come with two interchangeable hands that are more relaxed and opened. But for now, he's just in his I'm grumpy old man scientist phase. And he does also have his brown jacket underneath his green trench coat as well. So I mean, visually it looks fine. It looks like Dr. Octopus, but I wish that the folks at Marvel Legends and whatever just took a little bit more time on this version of Dr. Octopus, because the wires, they do bend and whatnot, and they bend relatively easily, but they're not removable. And I wish that they were, so that way you could have Dr. Octopus, especially for people like me who do stop motions and stuff with Marvel Legend figures, it would have been nice to have, Dr. Octopus be able to be removed. And then you could have, him wearing like, a back brace, and then he ends up, putting the, arms on his back brace. Because, if you ever read the Superior Spider-Man story, Dr. Octopus's body is basically deteriorating because if I remember correctly, he has like some kind of bone disease or something that'll basically make his body useless, which is why he switches with Peter Parker and becomes Superior Spider-Man. Yes, that is a story I do intend on somehow bringing into the connected universe at some point in time, which is why I wanted to set up Dr. Octopus right away, but I'm not going to do that. So what I'll probably end up doing, and I really, really, really don't want to do this, is get a second version of Dr. Octopus, modify it like crazy, and simply try to make it look like he's not Dr. Octopus already. So that way I have one for a villain and one for Dr. Otto Octavius. I really don't want to do that because I know that's going to be a pain in the ass to work with. But I do want to eventually have Dr. Octopus in the connected universe without his arms first. And then obviously he's going to get the arms, and that's all going to be a really fun story plot point later. But anyway, Dr. Octopus is here. the whole point of this video is to review all of these guys and whatnot. And Dr. Octopus is cool. I just simply wish that his arms were removable. And I knew I should have had some red flags when I first got the box in hand, because his box did not look like a generic Marvel Legends box. So I knew that should have been a red flag right then and there. But you know, all in all, it does look cool. He can stand up relatively well. And even if you wanted to go crazy and have him be supported in midair like that by his arms, it is doable. But, I mean, I'm just not the great poser in the world. So every time I tried to do it, he would just simply fall forward. And that's not fun, just like that. And that's not fun. So, most likely anytime he shows up in any videos, he is not going to be suspended by his arms, because that is way too much of a hassle for me, at least, to work with. And trying to do that for stop motion, nah, not my preferred cup of tea. But hey, now Tobey Maguire Spider-Man has one of his rogues galleries. I just wish they had made Green Goblin. Because if they had made his version of Green Goblin, I 100% would have picked him up, and he would be the Green Goblin for the connected universe. But as of right now, they have not. So let's move on. Alright, now we're starting to get into the really, really fun stuff. So as you can tell, this is the Abomination. I believe this was the Build-A-Figure version. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I want to say this is a lightly older version of Abomination, because he doesn't really scale that well next to the Hulk. Well, he does scale well next to the Hulk, and we'll bring him out in just a minute. But Abomination is going to appear in the connected universe. And that's because Hulk is one of the characters that I want to have a solo project at some point, so that way I can establish him as, you know, this loner, sad guy and everything else, and then have Emil Blonsky, Abomination, show up and make his life that much harder. And then obviously eventually I'll set up, you know, characters hopefully like Red Hulk, maybe even the leader and stuff like that, later down the line. But right now, I have Abomination, and I've always wanted Abomination because I wanted to do several fights with Abomination, and I never really could find a good one on Amazon or eBay that was relatively decently priced and not have to build a figure. So while I was at Dallas Vintage, they had this in a display in a case, and I said, hey, I want him. And they're like, okay, cool. Boom, there you go, buddy. He does not have any interchangeable hands. He does not have any really accessories, because this is what was there. His upper torso is a little loose, as you can see, but seeing as how this, I believe, is from like 2006, 2007 for a Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure thing, he's actually relatively sturdy. I mean, he can crunch and hold, he can go back and hold, and, you know, on very clicky ratchets, mind you, but, and then his head and whatnot moves up and down. You know, he's got plenty of range there. Obviously his arms, you know, whatnot. I mean, hell, that for potentially, like, I believe this is a 2006 release Build-A-Figure, because his legs come off relatively easily, and I want to say his arms do too, but I'm not going to try it to risk finding out. But his arms and his legs and head come off super duper easily, and I believe it's because this was a Build-A-Figure back in the day, and it looks great. It looks fine. You can tell who this is supposed to be, and whatnot. So yes, eventually Emil Blonsky Abomination is going to show up in the connected universe alongside his I guess you could say arch rival, but they do sometimes work together from time to time, but it's very rare and few and far in between. The Hulk. Now, standing together right there, they don't look at a scale. And then you put Hulk in front of Abomination. They still, well, it's Hulk is ever so slightly taller, but really it's not by much. So actually now looking at him straight up and down like that, and even then his legs are, Blonsky's legs are bent. Okay, so there it goes. Now he's staring straight up and down. You know what? I can live with that. I can live with that scaling. It does. Hulk is ever so slightly taller, but nothing horrendous. They both look at about eye level. They're both looking at about eye level. So you know what? I can live with that. So yes, eventually Hulk will fight Abomination, and he will look like this. I wanted to try to find a Incredible Hulk version of Abomination in this size. They did not have that, because I don't think Marvel ever made something like that. But if they did, I would have obviously gone for that one, but this one's more comic book accurate, and I do want the Connected Universe to feel at least a little bit comic book accurate, because I am going to be changing something at some point, and I will explain it when that time comes. Alright, now we've got probably one of the big bads of the Connected Universe, Thanos. Now, I chose this particular version of Thanos versus something like, the comic book Thanos or the armored Thanos of this, because this is probably one of, if not my favorite look for Thanos. I loved his look in Infinity War. I wish they had kept that for later things, but and this guy is actually really well detailed. There's actually, and I've had this guy for 2 weeks, because I've been trying to make this video for the last 2 weeks, but I was on vacation last week, trying to get stuff done, and then this past week has just been a nightmare and a half, so I just haven't had time to really shoot this video. Plus I had to go get the other 2 guys that we'll discuss here in a little bit. But I wanted Thanos, man. I've been wanting Thanos for a long time, because for those of you who, some of you guys might not know this, but the original person who did this to Metalhead was in fact Thanos. And, to try to tell that particular story, potentially in the Connected Universe, the way it was originally going to happen, it would be nice to have, a Thanos that looks like he can kick this dude's ass beforehand. And that's exactly what was going to happen. But overall, I like Thanos as a character. He just seems like especially this version of Thanos. I don't know exactly what version of Thanos this is. Obviously, it's Infinity War, but I don't remember what year this is. I don't know if this was 2018 when Infinity War came out, or what. But his his boots say 2017, so this is a 2017 version of Thanos, probably promoting Infinity War. And unfortunately, he is on the smaller side compared to somebody like the Hulk. I know he is. Oh no, he is actually tall. Oh no, this is going to be another Abomination situation. Okay, it's his head that makes him look smaller, but again, they're both roughly the same height. Just Hulk is just much more jacked and built like like a Hulk. But I've always liked this version of this look for Thanos. I always thought the sleeveless look, the Infinity Gauntlet, the brown pants, the brown shoes, the blue shirt with the little tunic portion on the back, I just thought was a badass look for Thanos, and I wish they had done it sooner and kept it that way. And then I don't know how well you can see it on camera, but Thanos' eyes look so funny. Of course, it's not going to focus at that well. But there's like a purple ring or something right underneath the white portion of his eyes, and it makes it look like he's stoned. So, which is funny, because Infinity, stoned. Haha, funny. I'm a funny man. Never mind. But like, there's like a light pinkish line underneath his eyes, I guess to mimic either tiredness or whatever, redness in his eyes. And it just does not look like that, especially when you have him looking up. When you have him looking up and you look straight at him, he looks like he's stoned as hell. But then, like, when he's looking head on, he doesn't look that bad. If I had a clearer image of it, I would show it to you guys. In fact, let's try this again. Okay, let's try that. Okay, boom, right there. Thanos looks so stoned out of his mind. He's like, dude, I've been collecting all these Infinity Stones, and it's just messing me up, man. It's just messing me up. I'm so freaking tired. Look at my expression. Look at my face. It's so funny, but it's also hilarious at the same time. It's also kind of sad at the same time. But anyway, that's just something funny. But anyway, when Thanos shows up in the connected universe, he's gonna look like this. I'm not doing an armored Thanos. I'm not doing the whole, I'm gonna show you how I got the Infinity Stones thing like Avengers Endgame did or Infinity War did. He's just gonna show up, automatically have most, if not all, the stones or something. I'll explain it later. So pretty much anytime Thanos shows up in really any video, he's gonna look like this, because this is my favorite version of Thanos. The only downside is he does not come with a snapping gesture. I wish he came with a snapping gesture, but that's neither here nor there. So anyway, and there's also some really nice detailing work up here on his armor stuff as well, which I didn't notice until a few minutes ago. But anyway, this guy looks really good. He does actually have double bend joints too, which is actually surprising. But anyway, so yeah, we now have a big bad for the connected universe. Alright, now we have probably one of the funniest characters you will ever see on this channel, hopefully. We have Pirate Deadpool. I had no idea I can talk, I swear. I had no idea that Marvel Legends actually made a Pirate Deadpool. And again, I was at Dow's Vintage Toys. I saw this dude on the shelf, and I'm like, dude, that is too funny and too good of an opportunity to pass off. And that's exactly what I did. I straight up picked him up because I like. Well, for starters, some of you guys might not know. I swear I can speak. Some of you guys might not know this. I actually am a big fan of pirates. I always loved like Pirates of the Caribbean and stuff like that. Okay, so let's start breaking down this. For starters, his legs are unpainted red plastic, and he's got this, what looks to be pirate captain jacket with the sleeves torn off of it. Very typical Deadpool style. He also does not have, he has one black glove or one red suit sleeve or part of his suit. Very Deadpool-esque. His glove actually is two pieces, so if I were to take his hand off, this cuff or this gauntlet piece would come off. In fact, you can actually see some red from the actual arm poking through it. His hat is obviously molded to his head, and his hat looks is awesome. Missed opportunity though, Marvel. You should have used the Punisher skull for the skull and crossbones for Pirate Deadpool's hat. Deadpool does have some silver eyes and a white bandana. If you take his head off, and then you can actually take his cape off, and then pop his head back on, and now he's got this belt sash that doesn't do anything except sit there. And then he has two molded plastic swords that can sheath on his belt, so you can take those out. He's got one very pirate-inspired, I guess you could say captain sword or dueling sword. And then he also has a standard katana. Another missed opportunity here. He has classic-looking pirate pistols tucked into his belt. They are sculpted rubber plastic, which is the same thing that his, I guess you could say, trench coat or captain coat or whatever is molded into, and it's just painted. That should have been removable because he comes with a trigger finger hand and a gripping hand. So can you imagine, for instance, you have Deadpool, full-on pirate setup, and whatnot. He's intimidating somebody, trying to be cool, and then he just simply pulls off one of his guns and is like, here, boom, and then that's it. So, Pirate Deadpool will eventually show up in the connected universe, but probably not until I start doing, like, you know, multiverse shenanigans or maybe a Halloween special or something, and Deadpool's just goofing off. Or just Deadpool goofing off in general. But Pirate Deadpool I just got for my own personal collection stuff. He's not necessarily going to appear in a whole lot of videos. So don't expect to see, you know, Pirate Deadpool versus so-and-so as death battles, because Pirate Deadpool was mostly just for my personal collection, just because like I said, I love pirates, I love Deadpool, and getting a combination of the two, man, it was a no-brainer for me. So, yeah, this is too funny. I'm going to now have to find or build a pirate ship specifically for Deadpool to sail the seas on, because Pirate Captain Deadpool is just it's too priceless. It's too perfect for me. Okay, now for the last and final one. Oh god. Oh shit. Yes, that was legitimate. That was not planned. This dude is surprisingly rather heavy. Well, he should be, considering how freaking huge he is. But alright, I got him in frame. So we have Galactus. Now I know for a fact this was a Build-A-Figure, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that. I probably am. But I'm almost certain that this particular version of Galactus was a Build-A-Figure for, I think, 2005, 2006. And I want to say that this version of Abomination was one of the characters that you got when you were building Galactus here. And Galactus is huge. I'm not going to deny that. This dude is freaking tall. So we'll do some size comparisons to Galactus here in a little bit, but just know he's taller than the Ninja Turtles, the quarter scale Ninja Turtles, that were shown a few minutes ago. I mean, granted, the Hulk isn't the best option because the Hulk himself is tall, but I mean, even comparing him to somebody like Pirate Deadpool, that's huge. And, you know, that's the point, because Galactus is supposed to be this gigantic cosmic being that eats frickin' planets. So Galactus will appear in the connected universe at some point in time. He is not going to be the main big bad villain at first, because I do want to kind of tease him and have him show up in other stuff, and then eventually show up as the big, big Avengers level threat at some point in the connected universe. So for starters, this guy, his leg is ever so slightly loose, and his left leg, his left leg. His right leg, however, bends no big deal on nice stiff ratchets, swivel at his legs, ratcheted feet, and toe articulation. So this dude is very well planted, at least on his right side. His left side, however, is all over the place. And that's just because these joints are ever so slightly on the stiffer side. But he obviously can stand up just fine. He doesn't have to worry. I don't have to worry about him falling over too much. But another main reason why Galactus is not going to be a main villain right out of the gate is he's massive. I can't work with this very well, trying to pose him and do stop motion stuff with him. I mean, it's doable because, like I said, his joints and stuff are still relatively good for being an older version, an older Marvel Legends release. But at the same time, he's too big to work with. And I don't need him to basically keep doing this every time I try to pose him, trying to make one video that's only going to last, 20 seconds, if that. Although if Galactus is in the picture in the connected universe, it's going to be a lot more than 20 seconds. His head actually does articulate really, really well. He looks down, up. I'd say that's pretty good for a flight pose, I guess. This portion, I believe, pegs in separately, which is why this whole top half is more free floating. So, but he's a lot more maroon than I remember. I remember Galactus being more purple. At least the versions of Galactus that I have seen in the comic books, I remember his outfit being a little bit more purple, not maroon. But that's fine. Or more burgundy. I guess that's more burgundy than anything. All of this is sculpted and fixed, so don't expect him to have any, rotation up here. All of that comes from his midsection up top. None of this part moves. So, and then obviously his hands or fingers and whatnot can do that. I do know there's a bigger version of Galactus that has his fingers and stuff all move. This was the only one that they had at the Dallas Vintage Toy Store. And honestly, this guy will work just fine. His joints and stuff are all good, like I was saying, except for that one leg. But as long as I don't have him relying too much on that leg, he should be fine. Obviously he's standing up just fine right now. But honestly, this is not a bad version of Galactus, which is why I have no problem using him for the connected universe as a potential big bad guy at some point. He will not be the first one out of the gate, but he will be there eventually. So let's do some size comparisons for Galactus, because he's freaking massive. Okay, just to put this in perspective for you, on the left is Gary the Stormtrooper, who is a generic 1/6 scale Hot Toys level scaled figure. And then on the right is Galactus. Galactus is almost an entire head taller than Gary the Stormtrooper. So, if that's not good enough, here's another reference for you. He's even taller than Hellboy, and Hellboy is no slouch. They're roughly... Hellboy's, I guess, horns, or top of his head, come up to about Galactus's eyebrows. But still, Hellboy is not a small character, or small figure, and he is shorter than Galactus. Granted, Galactus' helmet is what makes him taller, but still. Alright, and here we have quarter scale Donatello. Like I said, Galactus is actually a little bit taller than he is. Obviously not in terms of actual height, but even then, his helmet makes him ever so slightly taller than Donatello. And Donatello's a quarter scale turtle, or figure. That means Galactus is taller than that. Not by much, but still. That's ridiculous. And if Hot Toys ever made a freaking Galactus for the Fantastic Four movie, oh my god, that thing would be so tall, it would not even be funny. But this hopefully gives you a rough idea of how tall Galactus is compared to everybody else. Quarter scale, 1/12 scale. So, anyway, that's pretty much it for this video. Let's go ahead and wrap everything up in a nice little bow. Alrighty, that's pretty much it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know down in the comment section which one of these guys is your favorite. Do you have any of these guys? If you do, let me know. I'd be more than happy to answer everybody's comments, or as soon as I can. If you guys have any of these guys, let me know. If you guys know any characters that should be better, or figures that could be better than what I have on screen right now, let me know. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys all next time. Bye.